They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And to Riggins, good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo the Diesel.
Well, hello. We are back. Me and Big Larry here on Riggo the Diesel. I'm John Riggins, Larry Michael, voice of the Washington Redskins. This is episode 32. I don't know where to begin here, Larry. Now, we did the show last week.
We did.
We didn't do the show last week.
We did. That was you were on assignment, I guess, or something, right?
Yeah, I was. I want to talk about that later. Actually, spring break for my daughter, and well, I'll tell you all about that later.
You go on vacation?
We did go on vacation.
Oh, I got to hear about that.
Yeah, well, you're going to hear about that. But
right.
I got a better story to tell you right now.
Sure.
It kind of made my weekend, to tell you the truth. I don't know, you probably aren't aware of it, but the Dulles Expo Center, I don't know who puts it on, but there was an autograph show there this weekend.
No, there's a lot of those happening, all the time.
And there was some really heavy-duty guys there. So here I am at the autograph show, and you sign stuff in the back, and then they put you out in the public, and
right.
There's a line in front of you, and you sit there, and people, they buy tickets, and you sign whatever they bring that they would like you to sign. So I'm sitting there, and I get all done, and I get up, and I'm getting ready to leave, and I look over, and the guy sitting there signing beside me is none other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he looks at me, and he goes, "I haven't seen you since the locker room of the Los Angeles Lakers." I thought I would fall down when he told me that. Well, here's the story.
You were there?
Back in 1983, I did some stuff for Mr. Cook that required me to go to California.
He owned the Forum.
And he owned the Forum.
And the Lakers.
Would he have owned them back in 83? I don't know, but it didn't have anything to do with that. It was independent of that, but I was doing some stuff. He had a company out there called, I think it was Videotape Enterprises. And I was out there doing some stuff with him, and I think the guy that ran it was a guy by the name of Claire Higgins, which is neither here nor there, but I went out. But I had a friend of mine who was a doctor in New York City who I used to party with, and he was a urologist, and he lived in L.A. He actually lived in Sherman Oaks. And he said, I told him I was coming out. He said, "Well, stay with me. He said, I'll give you a car. You can do it." So I ended up staying with him. Turns out he had tickets to the Lakers. He had season tickets to the Lakers. So, they were playing at that time, and he asked me if I wanted to go to a game. I said, "Sure, why not?" So we go to the Laker game, and for whatever reason, was he on the court? I can't remember, but Mitch Kupchak, who used to play for the Bullets,
Yep.
He was on the Lakers team at the time.
Right.
Somehow I caught up with Mitch Kupchak at the game. Mitch says, "Well, hey, come on down to the locker room after the game."
He was your connection.
He was the connection. So I go down to the locker room, and I'm in there, and I'm meeting Jerry West, I'm meeting Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm sitting beside, you could knock me down with a feather when he's looking at me, telling me he remembers that meeting. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, listen, John, you are short-selling your personality, your persona. He remembered you because you were John Riggins. He was there. He must have been saying, "That's John Riggins."
Yes, but
and
I think
made quite the impression on him in the locker room.
Yeah.
Well, he said he was partying. I don't know. Who knows what.
Well, that was later on.
You were not working that night, were you? You weren't working that night.
I figured out this.
Yeah.
They put your name behind you when you sign stuff. I think Kareem looked up and went, "Oh." I'm thinking, okay, so now it gets better, if you will. So then I go in the back, and I'm sitting there, and I like to have a chair and sit down when I sign stuff because it's easier. Like if I got to hold a helmet, I don't like to. Some guys will stand up, but I like to do as good a job as I can with my signature. So I sit down. So I sit down. I'm starting to sign stuff, and there's this guy behind me. He says, "Hey, John, I loved your career. I loved everything you did. You were great. You were unbelievable." I turn around, it's Goose Gossage.
Wow.
That's telling me all this.
Flamethrower.
I'm going, you got to be kidding me. And seriously, you're right. I sat there and went, wait a second, maybe I have been.
How did he look? I saw Kareem last year at Josh Norman's Dancing with the Stars. He's still tall. How's Goose Gossage?
He looked great.
Does he still have that mustache?
Yes, and I think that's probably the reason I recognize him.
Yeah, right.
If he wouldn't have had that, I'd have been, "Oh, hey, you doing?" Right away I said, and to make sure I knew who it was, I said, "Do you still live in Colorado?" Because I knew he was from that area, Colorado Springs. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm still out there." And I went, "Oh, that's Goose." I said, "Well, Goose, it's good to see you," whatever.
Wow,
so,
man, listen to who you hang with. Who else was there?
Hobnobbing.
Who else?
Well, I can tell you another story, but that was another one that goes back a little bit further. But that was like an autograph session ago or two. That wasn't quite the same deal. I was talking to Michael Haynes. This is like a year ago. And he went to ASU. And Michael and I talked. Of course, we played in Super Bowl 18 against one another. And,
see him once in a while.
And all of a sudden, Reggie Jackson comes over. And
Mr. October?
Mr. October. And he just gave me a drive-by. It was like him and Michael Haynes and whoever this guy is.
He was always arrogant. He was always arrogant.
Huh?
Reggie was always arrogant, wasn't he?
Straw that stirs the drink.
The straw that stirs the drink, yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
yes.
that was my big story of the weekend.
That's a
a
good
lot of stuff
story.
going on with the team, right?
Good. Oh, man, it's been busy the last couple of weeks, and now you're getting focused on the draft now. I think free agency is pretty much done. Who's been brought up has been brought in. And you know what? It'll be interesting to see how this quarterback situation unfolds in the draft. Obviously might have an impact on the quarterbacks on the roster. Speculation, the Redskins are going to go with the quarterback with 15 overall. Will they move up? Will they move down? Will they pick in the second round, a quarterback, third, whatever? And Colt McCoy coming off of an injury. And Case Keenum, gotta love him. You see the picture of him?
The golf tournament?
He was at a golf tournament in Abilene, Texas. He does a charity golf tournament. He's a native Texan, and he showed up at this thing. He must have gone on eBay, or he must have gone to a thrift shop.
Or Sonny's Garage.
Or Sonny's Garage, because he was wearing, I would say, Redskins golf shirt circa 1975, Redskins visor circa 1972. It looked like this stuff was 40, 50 years old.
Where did you get it?
I don't know. I'm going to ask him when I see him.
All old school retro. I think some of it was made by Penguin.
Yes, and you could see on the collar was a little frayed, and the hat was a little wrinkled, like it had been stuffed in somebody's trunk for years. It probably smelled like mothballs. But somehow, which I love the fact that he went out and did this just to wear some Redskin stuff. He found some stuff, and he looked happy wearing that. He said, look, I'm a Redskin, which I just loved. I can't wait to see him get here and for he and Colt to compete, because both these guys, they're similar guys. They're both really hard-nosed. Obviously, Colt has been injured, over the last couple of years, on and off. And Case Keenum, he's just a likable guy. Have
you met him already?
Yes. I want to say Case Keenum reminds me a little bit of Billy.
Billy Kilmer.
Yes.
I'll be darned.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
does he have all the Billy Kilmer characteristics?
He's got a little bit of
Does his nose get red?
I haven't seen him in that situation. I haven't seen him.
You don't even know.
At an excursion, as I've seen Billy.
The after hours Billy.
But yes, after hours Billy. That happens during hours sometimes too. It's not always after hours. But love Billy. Billy's a great guy, and Keenum's got that same. He always seems to have a smile on his face, and he's got that kind of roundness about him. He doesn't have a Todd Castleberry body. He doesn't have the abs. He doesn't have the delts. He doesn't have the magnificence that is Todd. He's got more of a normal looking physique than Todd. And Todd, good to see you're back on your feet, and your feet are not swollen 5 times their normal size.
Yeah, he actually can walk now.
Those are his usual. Those are his normal.
He actually looked like a ballerina when he came. Oh, a ballettist, I should say, not a ballerina.
Good to see Todd back in action.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Riggo.
Yes, sir.
Helping people improve their lives, which should drive business. That's the belief at Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Koch works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com.
All right, Larry. This is John Riggins. I guess maybe you already knew that. And I got a question for you. Is your plumbing shipshape? Would it pass the O'Connor Plumbing White Glove test? All right, it's 2 questions, but stay with me here. A lot of us put crucial decisions off because we know doing the right thing is going to cost you money, right? But a head-in-the-sand approach, I think, costs more money. Look, O'Connor Plumbing gets it. They're going to help you finance any of your plumbing needs, which is going to take a lot of stress out of your day. If you play with water, you're going to get soaked. Call O'Connor Plumbing at 1-833-RIGGO44 and ask about their special financing options.
John, when he walked, he had a little bop to him. And besides that, he had the booty out there. They nicknamed him Chocolate Chip.
Story time with Riggo.
Yeah, that's right. It's me, Chocolate Chip.
When you play with water, you're going to get soaked.
Yeah.
When you play with fire, you're going to get burned.
Yeah,
which brings me to a topic which we were going to get to in the first segment, but we'll push it down here. A couple things happening. Have you ever milked a cow?
Yeah, well, not completely out. My mom grew up on a dairy farm, and that's the way they made their money, was they sold milk back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. And so we'd go up there in the summertime for a week, and my grandma and my grandfather would go out and milk the cattle in the morning and the evenings. And I didn't get to go milk in the morning, but in the evening we'd go out and we'd give it a few strums and it was always an amazing event.
A few strums. Now wait a minute. Now let me get some of the physiology squared away here on this. The big round thing.
That's the udder.
That's the udder.
Right.
That's the udder.
And the teats are off of the udder. Usually there's 4.
There's 4 teats. Now
get more than 4.
There is no human equivalent to the udder, is there?
Yeah, I would say so. Of course,
there is. The udder. It would be the breast.
Yeah, exactly. And the nipple would be the.
So when you have to milk a cow, or when you want to milk a cow, it's not like it's a faucet, right? What do you do with that teat? What do you do with that?
Well, think of it this way.
You have to pull it. Do you pull down on it?
You pull and you squeeze.
Squeeze at the same time.
It's the same thing if you think, listen, I got a feeling that all mammals do this pretty much the same way. If you think of you wanted to get milk out of a breast yourself and you're a little baby.
Like my granddaughter.
Like your granddaughter.
She's just got born.
It's the sucking action. Yeah. So you simulate the sucking action of any mammal, whether it be a human or whether it be a baby, a kitten or whatever. So that's what you're doing. You're squeezing and you're pulling down on the and it actually is like a water gun. A squirt of milk comes out of the.
It comes out, and so you could do two-handed.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And then you switch, switch.
You're kind of a lazy guy.
How long to get a cup of fresh milk out of a cow? How long would it take?
I would say probably less than a minute.
Less than a minute.
Get a cup. Now, when they milk, usually, I'm going to guess you can probably, I'm trying to think back, they'd have, they used to have the stools. Nowadays, none of this happens because everything's grade A milk, which is, the milk never hits the air. It's automatic
suction
milker.
Cup things that go on.
Exactly. They put them on, and that goes, and it's probably even gone a lot further ahead than when I knew a lot about, so I may be giving you old information. But it goes into a line, goes into a cooling tank right away. I mean, like I said, it's never exposed to the atmosphere.
Right.
But when you milk by hand, of course, that's not possible. So my grandparents would sit down on a little stool beside the cow, and then they'd squeeze the bucket between their legs as they're sitting there, and then they start milking, and you go around to all 4 teats because I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact.
You want to share the wealth.
Well, the udder is probably compartmentalized, so you got to get all the milk out of everything.
So
and that's the way a cow works, because what you do is a cow, you milk them in the morning, you milk them in the evening. They still think, although they don't have any calves on them, but that's what they're doing. They're still giving milk. They're still producing milk. And then there's a term they call it freshen, and I can't remember exactly what that was in dairy parlance. And I think that may be when the cow then comes back in heat. But I don't know if they come in heat, to breed again so they can have another calf if you continue to milk, because it's kind of like you're fooling the biological clock of the animal.
I got you. Of course, we're bringing this up.
So what's Colt McCoy drinking?
We're bringing this up because Colt McCoy and Jay Gruden talked about at the owners' meetings last week. Colt McCoy has confirmed he drinks fresh milk out of a cow, and that he always has, much like you, grew up in the country. But the question is,
he had a dairy. I think his family had a dairy farm. What I read.
Yeah, but where do you do that around here? I mean, where do you go?
There's the question. There's the thing. Yeah, I agree
around,
with that.
Loudoun County or in the D.C. area, in the DMV, where can you milk a cow and enjoy that fresh milk?
Well, what's scary was this one of Colt's priorities when he got to town was, I gotta find me a dairy farm where I can go get my unpasteurized milk. They are around here. I mean, years ago, I used to own a piece of property right outside Leesburg, and the guy beside me, he milked, and he had
dairy cows.
Yeah, dairy cattle.
Yeah,
and I mean, I could have went over there and got fresh milk that would have been unpasteurized, but I don't know. I mean, sure, there's still farms around, but I'm wondering. I'm thinking now he probably drinks pasteurized milk, but when he was growing up, it was unpasteurized because. What are you going to do?
What do you suppose? Have you ever tasted the milk fresh out the cow?
Well, the milk that I'm trying to think. That you bring up a great question, because obviously when you have milk like that, it's not only pasteurized, it's not homogenized. Buy milk at the store. Some of it isn't. You can buy. There's some dairy. There's a dairy down in Virginia someplace, and I can't think of the name of it right now. But they still sell it in the bottles, and it's not homogenized. So you see the cream sitting on the top of it. It's pretty cool. And in the old days, that's the way it is. You know, when you used to get fresh milk like he's talking about, it separates. Obviously, the fat being lighter, it goes to the top. The actual fluid part of it sits on the bottom, and you have to shake it up if you want to kind of get the stuff mixed up throughout the whole thing. The fat.
Somehow, the thought of it just doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't know what it is. Maybe a little shot of it in my coffee.
Okay.
Maybe just a little squirt. You know. Just a little bit.
Okay, here's the part that you're not going to want to drink fresh milk. That I don't think that Colt McCoy has told everyone.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood in fresh milk.
No,
it comes out of the cow.
There's blood
and that
mixed
has to
in
be
with the
filtered
milk.
Out. Yeah.
How's that
I mean, it's
possible?
not like you can see it. It's microscopic, but there's still blood in. It's not like.
Is that because of internal bleeding or just the way it is?
I think that. I just think. Well, that could be part of it too. I mean, maybe the milking process itself. But yeah, there's a certain amount. I've been told that anyway. I can't say that I have.
Maybe there's broken capillaries in the teats.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
he's doing. He says for his rehab. So, Colt, maybe he's got the Charlie Sheen tiger.
You know what? I think Colt McCoy's an outstanding athlete. I better start getting me some. I got to get some of that raw milk and just see if it's as gross as it sounds.
Actually, like I said, though, you can't tell it by looking at it. It's just that when they strain it, I think that's some of the stuff that comes out of it is blood.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
That's scary. I think we ought to move on. I think that in looking at Colt McCoy, there's a lot of conjecture, who the
Now, he's had 2 surgeries on the foot?
It's his leg. I mean, he broke his leg. You saw him walking off the field last year.
But it was a smaller bone, right?
Yeah, I think that was more of like a little maintenance thing he had. According to Coach Gruden, he's going to be ready to go for off-season, which...
When's that start?
Starts 2 weeks from yesterday,
OTA
the 15th. The 15th is the off-season conditioning program, and then OTAs starting later in the month of May. So, by the time OTAs start, Colt's going to be okay. I saw Colt. Colt was the honorary starter of the IndyCar race in Austin 2 weeks ago. He went down there. We sent a TV crew down there. And in fact, today on Redskins Nation, we're going to run that feature. And man, talk about a guy that's revered in the state of Texas, in Austin especially. He is the man. He kind of like you, John, at Kansas.
No, more Centralia. Lawrence, you got Gale Sayers, you got Will Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I know the pecking order.
Yeah, Centralia. Yeah. It's in Centralia.
I don't want to get too big for my britches.
Well, speaking of big for your britches, here's a little tip. If you need a mortgage, use the pros at McLean Mortgage. Buying a home can be stressful and filled with hassles. The experts at McLean Mortgage understand what an important financial investment in your home is, and will seamlessly guide you through the process to successful home ownership. Smooth, amazing, easy, professional, and first rate. Just some of the reviews from their tens of thousands of homeowners. Trust McLean Mortgage. Check them out. McLeanMortgage.com. Lending as it should be. Extreme opportunities to win millions of dollars ahead. The Extreme Million Scratcher will get you $10 million without having to do anything extreme at all. The game is a $10 million top prize, a $1 million second prize, and over $256 million in total prizes. Don't spend the day staring out your window or leafing through a magazine you've read a million times. You should check out Extreme Millions, an extremely easy answer to an extremely easy question. Wouldn't you love $256 million? How about $1 million?
Yeah, I'll take $500,000. I mean, if you're giving money away, $1,000 works for me.
Maybe get a place in Costa Rica, but we got to get Riggo's reviews, so we'll see.
Well, I'm just getting ready to come up with that, but we ready?
Yes, time to hear story time. Is that story time?
I use story time.
You already use story
Yeah,
time.
'cause on the-
That's Stevie, by the way.
Yeah, well,
That's Stevie, by the way.
Stevie, we've worked
All
together.
right. Well, you know what, John? Are you relaxed from your vacation? Did your vacation give you some relaxing?
I am now.
Are you back? I mean, would you feel revitalized? Usually that happens.
I went on one of those vacations where we left on Saturday. We came back on Saturday. Very fortunate. It was a direct flight. We went to Costa Rica, a little town down there in Liberia. Then we had about a 2.5 hour drive to get to where we were going, an area called Nosara. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but what I wanted to say was I went on one of those vacations that when Saturday came and the vacation was over with, we were on our way back to the airport, and we wanted to make sure, it's international flight. You want to get there 2 hours before and
Right.
you never know. And I will say this, got to preface this by saying the roads where we were unbelievable.
Bad?
Oh. I mean, I'm thinking you needed a half track to get around, really, to know you could get around. And I'll explain that a little bit more. So my point being is, you knew it was going to take a while to get to the airport. And, you know, the roads are so bad, you figure you might have to figure a flat tire into your stuff. Well, one of the folks that we went with, a man and his wife, he's kind of one of those guys that just kind of goes off and does what he wants to. We go to the gas station. We get gas. You know, I jump out and run to the bathroom, come back, and we're all ready to go. My wife's in the car, daughter's in the car, his wife's in the car, the driver's sitting there with the door open waiting for him. He goes in and buys a couple of beers, so he, on his way on the way to the airport, no problem with that. Then he starts towards the car, and then he decides, no, I got to go to the bathroom, so then he goes to the bathroom. And then he starts towards the car, and then he decides, no, I got to go buy a tchotchke. So he goes in, and when we're sitting there, like, because this is why I'm saying this is this is the vacation where ain't no way I'm missing this plane. Ain't no way I'm missing
You really want to go home.
I want to get the hell out of Costa Rica. I want to go home. So finally, my wife goes, I said, hey, Lisa Marie, come on. And so she walks in, says, hey, you got to go. And I'm figuring she didn't do it very forcefully. So we come back, we wait, and he's still in there doing this and that. And finally, I went, all right, that's it. Now, I have been biting my tongue all week. I went and I said, okay, Mr. Selfish, come on, let's go, get out of here. I mean, I went junkyard dog on him. And it was just like, he finally, do you think he came out right away? No. But
you still didn't get the point?
Well, finally he got his tchotchke and he came, and that was just like, he kind of like you could feel the wall go up. It got real quiet in the car, and all he's doing is talking to his wife. It's like it was a bad scene. So, but we got there in plenty of time, but interestingly enough, it wasn't like we had all kinds of time. Had we had a flat tire or something,
you would have missed your flight.
That could have been. I could be in a Costa Rican prison right now.
You're still there.
Have you talked to your traveling companion since?
No, I haven't. But that's okay. I will. I mean, it'll work its way out. So anyway, let me tell you about Costa Rica. We went to a place called Nosara, which is in the northwest part of the country, and there's an area there which I was fascinated by. There's areas called blue zones around the country. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but
no.
A blue zone is an area where the longevity is exceptional. There's a lot of centenarians there, people 100 years or over. It turns out we weren't exactly in dead center of it, but we went through the town where it is. It's called Nicoya. And around that area, there are a lot, it's like the second oldest people in the world. There's a big concentration of them there.
Probably not a lot of nightclubs there, huh?
That's the point, Larry. You nailed it. Think about the roads I just told you about. In fact, on the way back to the airport, I figured the cabbie got lost that was driving us there, because we're on a road that's almost one lane, and it's rock, dirt, dust all over the place. People have to wear, if you're riding a motorbike, a lot of people have a bandana like they're going to rob a bank across them because it's so dusty. We come down to this thing, and all of a sudden it's like there's a river here, bridge, and I'm going, oh man, now we're going to have to turn around. This guy got lost. Something happened. Did it rain? I mean, it didn't rain. And he starts driving into the river. Oh my God, we're going to have water. And he turns. No, this is they know what they're doing. They cross it all the time. But it was a damn.
He drove across the river.
He drove across it. It was probably about maybe, 30, 40 yards wide. And I'm just sitting there in disbelief. But going back to where we were in Nosara, it's great for surfing. And what it really is a yoga center for everybody comes for yoga. Well, my wife's a yogi. Okay. She teaches yoga. So that's kind of how I ended up.
You do yoga
there.
Too?
What's that?
Do you do yoga?
I do a little bit, yeah. I haven't done it in a while. But the other part I wanted to tell you was, because of all the dust, here's something you won't believe. There are no police where we were.
Well, those 100-year-old people, what kind of ruckus could they cause?
There's a few others that are around.
There's a few others, maybe younger.
We were there a week, never saw one cop. Didn't see one cop. At the airport, I see one cop. And he's got a pistol on his hip, a 9mm, it looked to me like. He's in plain clothes. There was no military presence. I mean, it was weird. So anyway, you're there. It's very, and here's the beauty of it, and yet it's kind of where it's a little bit of a shock on your system, is that it's so, what I want to say, primitive, that you kind of are a little bit taken aback by, well, I was hoping, the roads, you can't really get anywhere. It's very difficult, because most of the signs are painted by hand, and they put up, like Joe's Smokehouse this way. You got no clue where anything is. We were able to find everything, but you have to go. And then there's a lot of traffic on the road. So it was one of those kind of deals. Now, the best part of it was a guy by the name of Joe, who was this, and I don't mean in the sense of homosexual, but he was the gay caballero. You know, he had on the leather hat, he had on the boots, he had the leather vest, and of course he smoked Marlboros. At least he smoked something. But the reason I bring Joe up is because we were going to go for a horseback ride. And my wife didn't get back to him in time because my friend, the guy that dawdled in the tchotchke shop, he wanted to go for a horseback ride. I didn't really want to go, but my daughter, she rides horses, so I thought, well, I'll go with her. Well, I show up over there, and the place where we stayed said, well, listen, you're going down there. All you need is shorts, flip-flops, and T-shirts. And that's all I took. Well, I show up there, and the lady who's got the place for the horseback ride, she looks at me and says, well, you can't go dressed like that. And I kind of in the back of my mind thought, yeah, that saddle and the leather and the horse and all that, it could get. So now my friend had to go with Cocos because there was only 2 horses, and I couldn't really go anyway. So they go on the ride. So first off, I mean, we just thought it was a ride down on the beach. Now they got to go up through the jungle, up real steep hill, down another steep hill, up another steep. Then they finally get on the beach. Now Joe, being Joe, he was born in Portugal to Portuguese parents, I asked him, and then he grew up in France, and somehow he ended up in Costa Rica. I think Joe's probably a pathological liar, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, Joe gets down there, and it's all about Joe. He's riding his horse, and he's telling everybody, now don't let your horse get ahead of my horse, particularly my friend's horse, because it'll kick everybody. And if your horse gets ahead of my horse will want to run, and once the horses start running, they're going to run, and there's nothing you can do about it. So Joe gets down there and says, hey, you guys want to go a little faster? And everybody goes, no, we're good. But Joe wants to go faster. So Joe takes off his horse, starts running, and of course their horses take off and start running. Joe runs his horse into the ocean. There's some chick there in a bikini. Joe's got to go and, hey, baby, shake her hand, get off his horse, light up his Marlboro. I mean, it was like Joe was straight out of, what do they call it, Central Casting.
That sounds like the entertaining part of your trip.
It was, actually.
It was.
And I felt like such a dumbass, Larry, when they left, and I thought to myself, I didn't, because, something could happen, and I'm thinking, well, what if something happened? I never got Joe's phone number. I didn't think to ask, because, now that I know what they did, it's like, God, I really feel like an ass, because it wasn't exactly, and they even had to jump a log with their horses. The log was laying across the path, I forgot the best part. Joe has the machete on his hip.
In case he needs to clear the bushes.
Exactly.
The underbrush.
It's like something you'd think that, what do you call his name, Gary Cooper or somebody, or John Wayne would be. And he was hacking his way through the jungle. It was unbelievable. And now, here's the other, and I think, did I tell you about Bothrops? That's all I can, but people, Bothrops. Bothrops is the name for the fer-de-lance, which is a snake you don't ever want to see.
Bothrops?
Bothrops. I think it's Bothrops. Bothrops. That's like its genus, whatever. But they call it a fer-de-lance, a lance head. This snake, in fact, a guy he was a producer for Naked and Afraid. They were scouting for a new location. He got bit by one.
Ouch.
They got him out of there. It took him 2 hours to get to the hospital. By the time they got to the hospital, it's not neurotoxic. It's a hemotoxic bite. It's a viper. And what it does is basically it starts to digest whatever So
it starts eating away at your flesh.
Exactly. And it becomes necrotic. And they had to take flesh or something from his hip, graft it onto his leg. I mean, it is... it's the kind of, you have a permanent scar if it doesn't kill you, which more than likely that won't happen. But it is a nasty, nasty bite. That's why I was kind of glad I didn't get to go on a horseback ride.
He should use some raw milk on that.
Yeah.
All right.
You got to go straight to the teat.
Final word coming up.
Have you heard about Creighton Farms, the private club community that's home to the Redskins? Creighton Farms is just 20 minutes from Dulles, but a world away. On top of its award-winning Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, pools, tennis courts, and other resort-style amenities, you'll find custom homes and villas that are simply extraordinary, starting at $1.5 million. For property and legal information, visit CreightonFarms.com, or, better yet, visit Creighton Farms.
If you have atrial fibrillation, you know it can be difficult to treat successfully. Inova Heart and Vascular Institute in Fairfax is a leader in AFib treatment using specialized technology and expertise. This helps to more precisely target and treat rhythm irregularities that others could miss, helping to restore your heartbeat to normal. Give your heart the benefit of care. Visit InnovaHeart.org/AFib to learn more and to find an Innova physician. Innova. Join the future of health.
Who sat here? Your student? A peer? Your best friend? What did they grow up to be? A scientist? A nurse? An entertainer? Did you know it back then that they were made to stand out? Celebrate the extraordinary people made in Virginia Public Schools. Nominate a public school graduate for the Virginia Lottery's Made in Virginia Award. Details at madeinvirginia.com. Deadline October 12th. The Virginia Lottery, $9 billion to education, 30 years of fun.
Gearing up for game day? Your local Safeway has everything you need for the perfect tailgating or home gating party. Pick up all your favorites like wings, chips and dips, brats, burgers, beverages, and pizza. Stop by the deli to pick up fresh fried chicken or the produce department for a variety of party trays. Head on over to your local Safeway and pick up everyone's favorites. Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Redskins. Sports fans of all kinds have a new place to connect. Asbury Methodist Village. You have a competitive spirit or just like to be active, Asbury has everything you need. Tennis and bocce ball courts, a fitness center and pool. Plus, whatever team you root for, you'll find kindred spirits at Asbury. Come for a tour and check out everything Montgomery County's leading senior living community has to offer. Visit AsburyMethodistVillage.org to schedule a tour and find more information on our services and top-notch reputation. That's AsburyMethodistVillage.org. Asbury is an equal opportunity housing provider.
Have you been fumbling on your diet during tailgate season? Well, it's a new day for a new game, and White House Foods has the solution for you. With the vinegar beverage of choice, Detox. Packed with lemon, honey, cinnamon, and apple cider vinegar, this organic, non-GMO verified product is the play you need to get your head back in the game. From our orchard fields to your football field, White House.
All right, Larry, it's your turn for the final word. What do you got?
Well, my final word is, John, it looks like it's almost golf season.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how
tomorrow it's going to be golf season because I think it's going to be in the mid-60s.
How often do you ever play golf?
I do not.
Never play golf.
I do not, no. You don't want me on a golf course, Larry. Bring out a backhoe before you bring me out.
Todd, we got to get him out there. I know one way to get him out there. Couple six-packs at 4th and 1.
He likes driving the beer cart.
On the ice
I will drive a beer cart.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be good for 9 holes. And I'll stay at the clubhouse, and you guys can circle back around.
We're going to hold him to that.
Kind of okay with that.
All right, John. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Larry.